Hello YouTubers and followers, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm so glad you did. Today we will be moving beyond the cryptic pregnancy and talking about the cryptic baby. So many times in the cryptic pregnancy community, they focus purely on the pregnancy itself, and the cryptic baby or babies is often overlooked. I want to ask some questions about this. I do have a paper here for notes. So if I look down, that's why. It is known that an ultrasound machine and a fetal Doppler use the same exact technology. This is a fact. Sorry about that. So yes, this is a fact. You can research it yourself, that an ultrasound machine and a fetal Doppler use the same exact technology. So how are cryptically pregnant women finding a heartbeat using a Doppler at home, but the same exact baby or babies cannot be found during an ultrasound? How is the heartbeat also not being found during this ultrasound? How are these cryptically pregnant women feeling, seeing, and recording movement from the outside of their body, but somehow these same exact babies cannot be seen during an ultrasound or palpated during a physical examination? If you can see the movement on the outside of your belly, like something moving or the whole belly moving itself, and that's what you're attributing to be fetal movement, how are you feeling, seeing, and recording this movement, but somehow that same exact baby or babies cannot be found during ultrasound? If the baby is close enough to see physical movement on the outside of the body, then saying that the baby is behind the intestines or growing along the mother's spine or back cannot, and that's the reason why it cannot be seen during ultrasound, this does not work. It makes no sense. How are multiple babies being missed routinely? Many women in the cryptic pregnancy community report to have seen upwards of about 5+ doctors during their experience in order to try to confirm their pregnancy. Some have even seen or reported to have seen 10+ doctors. One woman told me she's seen 12 doctors within a span of 9 to 18 months. So let me just verify this. It is not possible for 10+ doctors to have missed your baby or babies. That is a lot of mistakes to have been made in order to miss a physical living fetus inside of the mother's uterus. There would have to be so many mistakes made or overlooked in order for 10+ doctors to not be able to locate a fetus. The medical profession can make mistakes. I know this. I've worked in the medical profession. It's not perfect. It wasn't intended to be perfect. So medical professionals can make mistakes. This is not something new. We are all human. Humans make mistakes, right? So physicians are humans, but 10+ physicians from different practices and facilities overlooking, misinterpreting, or missing a baby or babies, that is not possible. Even as many as 5+ doctors to have overlooked, mistaked, or misinterpreted your possible pregnancy or baby during ultrasound is highly unlikely. If the woman is both seeing and feeling movement from the outside of her belly, then baby should be easily found during ultrasound. There should be no discrepancy. If the mother can put her hand on her belly and feel the baby kicking, then that baby should be found on ultrasound 100%. So easy to find. The reason I say this is because if baby is big enough to be making physical movement that is seen on the outside of the mother's body, then that also means that the uterus has grown up and out of the pelvis, making the argument that baby is growing behind the intestines or along the mother's back completely irrelevant and inappropriate. So if the uterus has grown up and out of the pelvis, that means the baby is big enough, and that the uterus has moved forward enough in order to be able to see and feel movement on the outside of the belly. That means that 1, the baby is big enough, and 2, the uterus has been pushed forward enough for the woman who believes herself to be cryptically pregnant to be able to see and feel movement on the outside of her belly. So the bigger the belly grows, the bigger the babies make. Hold on. Okay, so the bigger the belly grows, the bigger the baby is, making a negative ultrasound less likely to happen. Theoretically, the longer you wait to have an ultrasound, the bigger the baby will be. Fact, the bigger the baby is, the more obvious it is that it's actually there, especially if there is more than one baby present in the mother's uterus. During physical exam by a medical professional or during an imaging procedure such as an ultrasound. These indiscrepancies and obvious inconsistencies make a 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy and the 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy community seem questionable, unreliable, and naive. Naive, uninformed, and ill-advised about how conception, pregnancy, labor, childbirth, and the way the body works. In order to believe in a 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy, you have to forget or think everything that you have learned about your body is a lie. From the first time you ever learned about your body in physical education when you were in school, everything that you learned during that class, you have to pretty much determine as a lie or that it's untrue in order to believe in a 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy. You also have to believe that everything you learned about conception, pregnancy, labor, and childbirth is a lie. And that everything about a 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy is now the truth. Because a 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy has changed everything about these things, making the women who claim to be experiencing or have experienced a 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy some sort of genetically mutated superhuman able to gestate a super pregnancy with superhuman babies or babies with superhuman abilities. The reason why I use the word superhuman is because the baby and the mother's genes would have to change in order for this kind of pregnancy to be physically possible. This is an incredible claim. I mean, this is amazing to both think about and believe is happening to you or happened to you. If you truly believe that you gestated a pregnancy for 2 to 7 years and you birthed a baby and you truly believe that it was this special kind of pregnancy, that's incredible. Many women in the 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy community say their doctors say they are completely healthy with no underlying conditions or others with no underlying conditions, period. Others in the cryptic pregnancy community have had several diagnoses throughout their lives and have had varied medical history. No two women are completely the same in the symptoms, medical history, background, medication, lifestyle, or education level. The only thing in common in the cryptic pregnancy community, the only thing that these women have in common is the unexplained physical symptoms in the body that seem to lead one to believe that they could possibly be pregnant, despite tests continuing to be negative. This is the only common denominator This is the only common denominator throughout the cryptic pregnancy community, that these women are having physical symptoms of pregnancy despite the tests being negative. That's the only common denominator. The signs and symptoms between one cryptically pregnant woman and the other cryptically pregnant woman are not the same at all. This possesses the thought that a 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy could be related to psychological stress and not pregnancy at all. I want to make this clear that this is my personal theory. This is just a personal theory. I'm not stating that this is fact. I'm just saying that this could be a possibility, that a woman who thinks herself to be 2 to 7 years cryptically pregnant, all these signs and symptoms that are happening in her physical body could just be related to psychological stress and not pregnancy at all. So in the cryptic pregnancy community, the women involved mostly talk about the pregnancy itself. What about the cryptic baby or babies? These women in the cryptic pregnancy community seem to only concentrate on the pregnancy itself, or majority of their thoughts are on the pregnancy, getting it confirmed, getting people to believe that they are currently pregnant, and they very rarely actually concentrate on the baby or babies themselves. These details and the questions I ask in this video are very important. These inconsistencies within the 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy community are easy to find once you start to investigate this condition for yourself. So, this is from a cryptic pregnancy website. I will leave the link below for your verification of what is printed and shown here in this video. And I quote, "I often call CP the cryptic pregnancy experience or rite of passage. Many times, a cryptic pregnancy doesn't produce a physical baby, even if there was a physical baby in the womb at some point during the experience." Let me repeat, she says many times a CP or cryptic pregnancy doesn't produce a physical baby. Now, what comes after this is a total assumption. Even if there was a physical baby in the womb at some point during the experience. This is a major assumption because the person who wrote this did not perform any physical examination on any of these women or perform any tests herself to determine that a physical baby was in fact present at some point in time during this mother's experience. This is very misleading. It's a very misleading statement. There's no way the author of this article could know this with complete certainty. This should be presented as a hypothesis or theory, but it is not. It is not presented that way for a reason, because the author wants you to presume this condition, a 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy or a unconfirmed pregnancy, is happening to you too. This same person who wrote this article tried to convince me that I was pregnant at the time that I thought I was cryptically pregnant. She reconfirmed my suspicions and pretty much told me, "You are pregnant." She said that when my uterus was found empty during my ultrasound in May of 2016, that my body had actually absorbed the baby at some point during my cryptic pregnancy / phantom pregnancy experience. So she said that at some point the baby had died and my body had just absorbed the baby. In truth, I was never pregnant during what I thought was my cryptic pregnancy. And that is okay. I do not feel the need to make up a story in order to feel better, accept and cope with my cryptic phantom pregnancy experience. My uterus was found empty, and that is okay. You also don't have to make up a theory in order to accept and cope with your possible false cryptic pregnancy. The author goes on to say, here, you can see it, many do, however, another misleading and unverified statement. Then she states, "I produced 2 cryptic pregnancy 15 months apart." This is a subjective statement and also has no verification or validation from a scientific standpoint whatsoever. It is her story, and she's reporting it the way that she remembers it, and that's fine. But it hasn't actually been verified. The only person who knows this information is her. And that's fine. if you want to believe that she produced 2 cryptic pregnancies 15 months apart. But she also does, you have to remember that she does state in the beginning of this that many times a cryptic pregnancy doesn't produce a physical baby. So her saying that she produced 2 cryptic pregnancies 15 months apart, it's simply a story, and it doesn't mean it is necessarily the truth. I'm sure she believes that what she is saying is the truth, and very well could be the truth. I don't know that. I'm not saying that she's lying. I'm just saying that it hasn't been verified. This is a subjective story. This is her recalling what happened to her as she remembers it. But from a scientific standpoint, it is just hearsay. It's just a story because it has not been validated or verified. And there's ways that these things can happen. It's probably been a while since, you know, she's had these pregnancies for her to I'm sure she doesn't really feel the need to prove that she actually did produce 2 cryptic pregnancies 15 months apart. And that's fine. It's her life. So anyways, and I also do want to mention that there are, if you've had to have heard that there are 2 sides to a story, and then there's the truth. And so, you know, everybody remembers their experience or their recalls differently. Everybody remembers differently. And so what you remember about a situation might not be what someone else remembers about a situation. Anyways, then she goes on to say, like so many women around the world. So she's pretty much saying that there are many women around the world who have produced cryptic pregnancies. Another misleading statement meant to make you believe that this is happening to lots of women all around the world when this has never officially been reported to be happening in all countries. From my research, a cryptic pregnancy or cryptic pregnancies have not been reported to have happened from all countries around the world. As far as I know, there's specific corners of the world that cryptic pregnancy has been reported to happen more often. And I have done several surveys in order to verify this information. I also check my YouTube channel, which gives me, you know, the areas or the regions in which my watchers are coming from. So it tells me where everybody's coming from. It's not all around the world. It is, you know, in certain places, it's kind of branched out, but it's not in every single country. Not every single country has reported to have, not women from every single country have reported to have experienced this. And that's very interesting. So, the reason why she words it this way, the reason why she words this statement this way is to influence what you think about how often this is happening, where and who it's happening to. So if this was true, if it was happening all around the world in every single country, then genetic testing could be the next step to prove it. Genetic testing of both the mother and the baby. This would be the next step. And give us a lot of information about why cryptic pregnancies are happening, if they really are happening, where they're happening, the genetic makeup of the mother and the baby in order to make it happen. The women who claim to be cryptically pregnant or think they really are cryptically pregnant, I really suggest that you get a genetic test done. And when you have your baby, do a genetic test on the baby as well, just so that we can try to get more information. If we don't have a medical and scientific study going on right now, then why don't we just start to dive into it ourselves? So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Be happy, be well. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Stay blessed, friends. Bye.